Pose, 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 I do adore. Pose, 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 I do adore. What is up, awesome people of the internet? And y'all know what time it is. It is time for the AP College Women's Basketball Rankings for Week 6. All right, we did see some teams drop off, and some new teams have made their appearance, including the Lady Vols, who are back and ready to show the NCAA that they mean business. All right, let's get into the polls for, again, Week 6. And we continue on with UCLA as the number one team in the country. They're just continuing to win. All they do is win, win, win no matter what. They are 9-0 on the season. Yeah, they're doing a good job. I mean, all they have to do is beat South Carolina. They did. They will stay at this number one spot until they fall, which may be a while from now. They do have some upcoming games that will be pretty challenging, I would say. Games that I'm really looking forward to would be on the 29th, December the 29th against Nebraska, and they play on New Year's Day against Michigan. Definitely teams they should win, but I do think that it'll be a little bit more of a challenge. Until that point, they do have some easier teams, with a slight challenge being when they face Creighton on December the 20th. So that's UCLA. They're going to keep winning. No real issues on that front. Lauren Betts is just continuing to do her thing. Kiki Rice, same thing. Like, everybody for UCLA is just, they're clicking on all cylinders, and that's what you need to be the best. And right now, they are the best. Number 2 team, we have UConn. They are continuing to stay at that number 2 spot. Yeah, they're winning. They had a fantastic game this past week against Louisville. I was expecting the game to be pretty competitive. Like, Louisville is a good team, but it was total domination. And guys, Sarah Strong is about that life. Okay, Sarah Strong is truly, truly about that life. Yes, we got Paige Beckers. Yes, we got AZ Foot. Yes, we got the bigger name people. But the freshie, Sarah Strong, oh yeah. She's doing it, and definitely is the most impactful player on this team. Like, because yeah, she just is game in and game out. She's doing her thing, and to start as a freshman on UConn says a whole lot about you, because Gino Auriemma don't just be starting people. He don't just be starting people. So, like, to consistently start as a freshman, oh, okay. Okay, Sarah Strong, I see you, Sarah Strong. They are 8-0 on the season so far. Now, guys, the big game that I want us all to watch, and we may end up doing a live stream for the game itself, is Notre Dame versus UConn. Like, guys, this is going to be the game to watch, okay? Because, yes, Notre Dame, last week they dropped in the rankings, but they're way better than number 8. So it's going to be UConn versus Notre Dame. That, whoever wins that is going to tell us a lot. I have Notre Dame winning. However, UConn can do it. UConn can take them out and make that happen. The reason why I have Notre Dame winning is because, 1, they're playing at home, and 2, yes, Sarah Strong is going to eat in the post, I think she's going to eat in the post. Though Leah King, I think, probably could play decent enough defense. Kate Koval is a little bit of a question mark in terms of, like, her defense. I mean, she is good at times, but, like, to play against UConn, I think that's going to be a challenge. But the guards for Notre Dame, I think they're going to eat. So I do have the slight edge going to Notre Dame, primarily because of the home court factor. But UConn should win the game. But I have Notre Dame winning. But who do y'all say? Let me know in the comments. If UConn wins that game, yeah, they're going to stay at number 2. If they lose, they're going to get dropped, and Notre Dame is going to be moving right on up. Again, UConn is 8-0 on the season so far. They're just cruising along, doing their thing. Next up, we got number 3 is South Carolina. South Carolina are 9-1 on the season. Again, they only lost one game, which was the game against the number 1 team now, UCLA. They played TCU this past weekend, and I was expecting this game to be interesting, right? I was expecting this to be a very competitive game, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't competitive at all. At all. It wasn't competitive because we saw South Carolina just absolutely dominate. The final score of that game was 82-52. It was actually kind of sad how pathetic TCU was. Like it really gave a wake up call of like TCU is not about that life. We thought they were. But no, they're not about that life at all. Now, Haley Van Lith, she was still rocking. She was still rocking, but the rest of that team, oh no. They were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. South Carolina just dominated. You had you had them holding Sedona Prince, who is basically the biggest body when it comes to women's college basketball. The biggest body out there, held her to only 6 points, only 2 rebounds, which is kind of pathetic for a 6'7" player. And Ashley Watkins winds up getting a dunk off the bench, which was kind of fun. The guards did their thing. Raven Johnson was hitting shots, including 3 3-pointers, which was like kind of awesome to see. She's one of those players that really has struggled to shoot, but she found it. She found it on the weekend. She found it. But yeah, anyway, South Carolina did their thing. They just absolutely dominated and showed that TCU, y'all not about that life. Y'all not about that life. I know y'all do a lot of talking. I know there's a lot of excitement around y'all, but y'all not about that life now. Okay, South Carolina is continuing to work. They do play South Florida coming up, which should be a decent challenge, but not that much of a challenge. Really, the real challenging games is going to be on January the 12th when they play against Texas. All right, continuing down, we got LSU. LSU is number 4. They just moved up 1 spot from last week. Not much to write home about. They're just continuing to win. They ended up beating Stanford narrowly. Yes, they ended up winning by 6 points. But the game was way closer than it seemed. It seemed like Stanford was going to win that game basically until just a minute left in regulation. And I was like, oh, okay, LSU might be able to win this, and they end up winning overtime. So shout out to LSU for getting it done, but I didn't think they was gonna win that game. I thought we was about to see an upset, but no, not quite an upset. LSU has very winnable games for the foreseeable future. The most challenging coming up is going to be on the 9th, January the 9th, as they face against the newbie to the top 25, Tennessee. Also, fun fact, LSU does play UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago, on the 19th of December. This is sort of Anissa Morrow's sort of homecoming game. So y'all, if y'all are in the Chicagoland area, highly recommend y'all go to that game. I think that should be really, really fun. All right, number 5, we got USC. They're continuing to do their thing. Now, USC is a team, they got 1 loss on the season so far. They're just trying to, continue to win. They don't have a ton of challenging upcoming games. So, actually, hold on. They do play Maryland on the 8th of January. So, actually, I think that'll be pretty challenging. And that'll determine whether or not USC moves up or they stay the same. Number 6, we got Texas, who dropped down 2 spots from last week. Now, Texas, the reason why they dropped down is because they lost. You lose, you get dropped. Okay, they end up losing to Notre Dame, so they got dropped. They don't have that many challenging games coming up, though they do play South Carolina on January the 12th. So that should be a fun game to watch. Number 7, Maryland. Y'all, these Maryland Terrapins, they are a fun team to watch. I really enjoy the fact that Maryland is back to being fantastic. And they win by committee. It's not like it's just one person sort of doing their thing. Everybody is making an impact. This is their largest winning streak in a long time. Again, 10-0. They have not lost a game so far this year. Maryland doing their thing for sure. Next up, we got Notre Dame, who moved up 2 spots from last week because they started winning games again. They had that little blip where they lost 2 games in a row against teams that were okay, but not top 25 good. And now they've rolled the ship. They're back to winning games, and we'll see how things sort of continue from there. Again, they do have that game against UConn coming up. Number 9, we got Duke. Duke is 9-2 on the season. They're rocking and rolling. I really enjoy the play for Duke on both the offensive and defensive end, which is something that I don't think I could say last year. Last year, I think I could say it was primarily just defense, but now it is offense on there as well. They got the freshman Toby, who just had a fantastic game. Like, guys, this girl was balling, absolutely balling. On Sunday, she had 20-something points. Came off the bench. She fantastic. For Duke, they're continuing to rock and roll. They are 9-2 on the season. As a reminder, the 2 games they lost was to South Carolina, and they lost against Maryland. Next up, we got Oklahoma. Oklahoma is number 10. They are 8-1 on the season. Number 11, Ohio State, is 8-0. They moved up 1 spot. Number 12 is TCU, who dropped down 3 spots from last week. The reason why they dropped down is because they had that very, very, very suspect game against South Carolina, where, we expected them to lose, but no one expected, I didn't expect them to lose as bad as they did, especially because Sedona Prince absolutely played like garbage. Like, it just wasn't good at all. Again, Haley, I thought Haley did her thing. She did her thing. She had a lot of turnovers, but she did her thing. Everybody else, nah. So I'm surprised TCU only dropped down that much. Like, I wouldn't have been upset if they dropped down to 15, 16, to be honest with you. Yes, that's only 1 game, but it was the way they lost that was the issue to me, not that they lost. All right. Number 13, we got K-State, stand a little bit steady at that number 13 spot. They are 10-1 on the season. I think they're doing their thing. Jeff Mittie knows how to coach his staff up and get them all raring to go. They did just beat Texas A&M and just destroyed Texas A&M. That was a wild game. They do have a upcoming game against who do they play? That's really good. Actually, they don't really have a tough game until February. They have some challenging games. Like they play Iowa State on January the 30th. They also play Arizona on January the 16th. Now, Arizona is a question mark. They do dominate against teams that they should win against, and then they flounder against any significant competition, which is a thing. But, every now and then they can kind of make some noise. Every now and then, not very often. Not very often at all. But anyway, let's continue on. We got number 14, North Carolina. They are 9-2 on the season. The Tar Heels are really, really doing their thing. They do have some pretty winnable upcoming games, and so that is something to note. Number 15, we got West Virginia. They are 9-1 on the season, continuing to rock and roll. Kentucky moved down 2 spots from last week. They are at the number 16 spot. The reason why is because they lost, right? When you lose, you get dropped. That's just what happens. They lost last week against North Carolina, which was a fantastic game by North Carolina. Kentucky, it showed some cracks, right? Kentucky was winning games. They was, doing their thing, but it just shows that, yes, you do have a good post player who has a lot of great potential, but she's not there yet, right? Clara Strack is great. Not there yet. Tiani Key still has a little bit more work to do. The guards, I'm not crazy upset at the Kentucky guards, though. They have to get more efficient. They just have to. But I think it's more focused on the bench player. I mean, on the post players and the guards at this moment. If I'm at Kentucky, I'm focusing more on the post players than I am the guards. So the guards, you gotta be more efficient. You got to. Like that's one of the things that, yeah, you can score a lot of points, but if you're not efficient, you're just really hurting your team. Like truly. Number 17, we got Michigan State, who moved up 7 spots from last week. And the reason why they moved up is because they are winning games. They have not lost a game so far this season, which I think is pretty awesome. Yeah, they're fun. But, guys, they have not faced a ranked opponent just yet. They haven't. All right? And so this week is going to be a big challenge for them. They do face Iowa on the 15th, so that should be a fun game to watch, and will tell us a whole lot about truly how good is Michigan State. Because yes, you can beat up on the non-ranked teams, but can you win against ranked opponents? That's the big question, and that's something that Michigan State is looking to answer this week. Number 18, we got Iowa State. They doing a thing in the Big 12. They moved up 2 spots from last week. Continuing to win games and take names. Audie Crooks still dominant as a sophomore. They do play Iowa, so that's going to be fun. So Iowa has 2 ranked games, right? They're playing against Iowa State and they are playing against Michigan State this week. So like big challenge for Iowa. Well, we're going to get to Iowa in just a sec. But yeah, Iowa State's doing their thing. And, yeah, we'll see how their season continues to go from here. All right, and we got the newbie on the list. We got Tennessee. Tennessee is 7-0 on the season. They just made their appearance on the list. And, y'all, the reason why they got on this list is because, 1, they are balling and they are winning games. 2, because they beat Iowa last week. They played in New York. I forgot the name of the classic that they were playing in, but they played at Barclays Center over the weekend, and man, Tennessee is back. Tennessee is back now. Are they back to like championship level Tennessee? No, but they are back to top 25 Tennessee. They're back to competitiveness, and I love to see it. Because the Lady Vols, like, it feels weird for the Lady Vols to not be in the top 25. Like for decades and decades, they were just always great. You know, it was Tennessee, it was UConn, it was Notre Dame. You know, those were the teams that was kind of making noise, and Stanford, right? Those are the teams that's making noise for years. And then Tennessee wiped off the face of the earth. And now they're back. They're back. We'll see how consistently back they are. All right, number 20, we got Michigan, not Michigan State. We got regular Michigan at number 20. They're continuing to do their thing, led by freshman Silas Swords, who is just continuing to rock and roll. Michigan, yes, they had that one loss at the start of the season to South Carolina, but other than that, they're rocking and rolling. Absolutely killing the game so far. 21, we got Iowa, who, again, Iowa does have 2 very tough teams that they're going to be facing this week. They did have that loss over the weekend, which is why they dropped 4 spots. And so, yeah, we'll see if Iowa will be able to regroup or if they will be on a 3-game skid by the time this week is over. Number 22, we got Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 6-3 on the season. They are a team that is also dropping as well. The reason why they're dropping is because they lost. Okay, they lost. They lost against NC State this past week, and so that was a big deal. And so you lose, you get dropped down a little bit. Again, 6-3 on the season. The losses that they've had so far this year were against USC, UConn, and NC State. Speaking of NC State, number 22, and basically they're tied. They were basically tied. So technically they're both number 22, but yeah. Anyway, North Carolina State is a team that is still confusing to me. I don't know. I don't know. Like when I see NC State, I think of a confused team. Like it's a team that has pieces. Like that's not the issue. Isn't the pieces? The issue is the way that the pieces are playing. Ole Miss gave NC State a run for the money. Yes, NC State ended up winning that game, but still, like they gave them a run for their money. The thing that NC State really has to worry about is like the consistency of their stars, right? Zoe Brooks, I continue to like her play. Sanaya Rivers, you need way more. Like I feel like I've harped on this a couple times. Like Sanaya Rivers is way more of a talented player than what she shows on the court. Sometimes I'm just like, what the heck, girl? She's averaging around 10 points a game. Sanaya Rivers, you're good enough to be scoring 16, 17 points a game. You are. Why you're not? I don't understand it. I don't like. You see glimpses of like best player on the court, and then you're like, dang, what was that? What do you do? You know what I'm saying? So like that's a thing that I think is a huge issue for NC State, and the reason why I just find them still confusing because they should be better than what they are. They have a fantastic coach, and it's just I don't know, disconnect or something. I don't know, something's going on. Number 24, we got Nebraska. Nebraska are 8-1 on the season. Did pop up one spot from this past week. They're continuing to do their thing, and we'll kind of continue to see how they sort of rock and roll. Number 25, we got Georgia Tech, who has made their entrance on the top 25. Congratulations, Georgia Tech. Y'all are back in the conversation. At number 25, y'all are 9-0 on the season. I mean, they're winning games. They're making stuff happen. This is their best start in over 30 years. Best start in over 30 years. Like what a fantastic start to the season for Georgia Tech. They do have an upcoming game this week against North Carolina, not NC State. They do play North Carolina this week, and so that is going to be a fire game. Like, definitely y'all want to watch that. It's going to be on the ACC network, so hopefully y'all can check that out. I may do a recap about that game, a specific recap about it, because Georgia Tech is a fun team. They are winning games. They are taking names. They did have a really good win against Oregon earlier this season. They did also beat Mississippi State. So they've had some pretty good wins. But I think North Carolina is going to be a huge challenge for Georgia Tech. And I think that's going to be the real litmus test about how good Georgia Tech actually is. All right. Others receiving votes include Alabama, Illinois, who dropped. Alabama and Illinois dropped from the top 25 this past week. California, Stanford, Vanderbilt, Utah, Louisville, Richmond, South Dakota State, Creighton, Oklahoma State, Harvard. Shout out to Harmony Turner. Shout out to her. She's been killing. Florida State, Texas Tech, and Baylor. All right, guys, that is the top 25 for week 6. What do y'all think about some of these teams? What do y'all think about the new entrants on the list? Right? Curious to hear what y'all have to say in the comments. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.